Again folks, a very warm welcome to episode 2 of Mental Moments. Today we're going to be covering disassociation. If you haven't done so already, please remember to hit both the like and subscribe buttons. Also, if you wish to stay up to date with not only this mini-series, but also the rest of the channel, then hit the notification bell that's down there somewhere. So today I'm going to give you my own personal explanation of what I believe disassociation to be, and I'll share with you some of my experiences of having episodes of it, and also some of the tips and tricks that help me to better manage and cope. I put a lot of thought into this one, and I'm really hoping it's going to reach someone out there and make a difference. So roll the intro. Now, I was surprised to read that the majority of us will actually suffer with disassociation at some point in our lives. Now, disassociation episodes can be as brief as a fleeting moment, like a flash, or it can last days, months, or even years. But these more extreme cases are often tied to other more complex dissociative disorders. Now, the whole experience of one of these episodes can be quite unsettling, or perhaps you don't even remember it. But it's actually your mind's way of coping with a perceived threat, a mechanism if you like. The same mechanism as if when you trip and you outstretch your hand, or the whole fainting goat thing. Disassociation isn't always a bad thing. There's some people who use disassociation during stressful or monotonous situations, you know, when someone says, "I switched off." That's what they mean. Even yoga, that could be a form of intended disassociation. But for others, it can be unwanted. It can be triggered by a one-time event, say witnessing a terrible accident or being involved in one, or by repeat traumas such as an abusive environment or suffering through abuse. Most commonly, disassociation is diagnosed as a symptom of another mental health condition such as anxiety, depression, bipolar disorders, or, like me, just one of the many symptoms of my PTSD. So how do you know if you're actually disassociating? Well, I guess it's different for everybody. In the most extreme cases, people go off, no memory of their current lives, they go off, they start new lives, and then eventually, if their memories come back, they've got no recollection of living this second life. But most commonly, it's just like somebody's deleted memories at times, just been erased, gone. Infuriating and frustrating as memory loss can be, there are a few things I do to counter this. Number one is write everything on the calendar. As soon as I get an important date come through, bang, straight on the calendar. Also utilise a weekly planner on the fridge, wipeable sorts. And then there's pens now stashed all over the house, like pens are everywhere. So I can jot down any time I need to remember something, I can jot it down on my hand, on a notepad. If you do jot things down in a notepad, make sure you check it daily. There is no point having a notepad if you are just going to forget about it. Most phones, in fact, do actually have a notepad app that comes as standard. And again, utilise the calendar on your phone, because at least you'll get the auditory reminders. It'll ping up on your screen when you need to remember something. So remember not to forget. Now, second today on my list of disassociation symptoms is a bit of a two-for-oneer. It's the detachment from feelings and emotions. Now, this could be as minor as a change in preference to where you hang out, who you hang out with, but it can also manifest itself in a physical way. So like when you bash yourself in the hand with a hammer by mistake, instead of getting that sickening ache, you would just feel nothing. Like an extreme case would be the folks who walk for miles, not even realising they've got nothing on their feet, oblivious to pain, temperature, injuries. But these extreme cases are more commonly seen when the dissociation is a symptom of another mental health condition, such as schizophrenia. Now what I do on a day, say if I'm finding it hard to stay attached to both my feelings and emotions physically and mentally, then I'll usually avoid dangerous activities that day, or at least be extra cautious. Like if I'm whittling on a day like that, you should always wear hand protection anyway, but I'll always make sure I've got my cut-proof gloves on, because there's been times in the past where I've cut myself and not realised the seriousness of my injuries. So before I was out whittling, I was having a bad day, and I gashed my finger. It was wide open, blood everywhere, and the shock of it made me disassociate. So I sat on my hand thinking, right, that'll stop the bleeding. Sat there disassociating, completely went away from myself, until a passerby about 20 minutes later said, oh, you should get that checked. Hadn't even crossed my mind, but that's what I did. Went to A&E and got it sorted. Now I apologise in advance to the gentleman, because this topic is still a bit taboo in the UK, but we need to talk about our emotions, or at least the detachment from our emotions during one of these episodes, because I feel it's important. And unfortunately, this one is very cut and dry. It is what it says on the tin, feeling detached from your emotions. So for me, this is one of the hardest symptoms of disassociation to cope with. Imagine, say, you love the household dog, love it to bits, man's best friend, boom, disassociation strikes. You're now feeling different towards the dog, emotional connection gone, almost flippant about even owning a dog. How could you not love that dog's face? But that, unfortunately, can be the nature of it, and that can last, as we said, it could be a moment, a flash, or it could be an extended period. You have to keep with it. Remember who you are. This symptom can be pretty distressing if, say, your feelings towards someone who cares for you, who's close to you, change. It'd leave you with somewhat of an identity crisis. You imagine one day waking up and the hobbies that you normally get enjoyment from, you don't. Imagine your soulmate now just feels like a flatmate. And terrifyingly, you wouldn't know how long this is going to last. You would be left asking yourself, is this just a flash moment of disassociation, or is this the new norm? Fortunately, I've never had more than a flash moment, but I do use a grounding technique when I start to feel myself disassociating. It is a little bit outside the box, but you'll come to know that. It's the way I think. But I grab hold of one of my tash hairs, yank that underneath my nose, then that sends a shock signal through my head and brings me back to the now that I'm stood here tugging on my tash looking like a numpty. During these periods of emotional detachment, it can be far too easy to overthink every relationship you have with different people, and even easier to give yourself a hard time over emotions or lack of emotions towards them. But you must treat these times like the monster under your bed. The more you feed into it, the bigger it will get. You have to be kind and you have to be patient towards yourself. If you do experience long periods of emotional detachment, then I sincerely implore you to speak to someone, go and seek help and advice. You've got the internet search engines, you've got your local GP, and you've also got friends and family. It's never too late to hold your hands up and say that you just need a bit of support. Those who truly care will understand. Finally today, I want to talk to you about one more symptom of disassociation. I want to talk to you about the detachment from yourself, or the out of body experience. Now, across disassociation, detachment is prevalent, it's everywhere. That's detachment from yourself, detachment from your loved ones. It's ever hanging there like an anvil, an anvil of an identity crisis just waiting to fall. Now, this feeling of detachment can escalate to such a point that someone can end up seeing themselves from the third perspective. They can feel that detached from themselves and environment. They just simply float away from their body. Now, I too have experienced this outer body phenomenon. In fact, it's the main reason why I hung up my motorbike jacket. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I would like to say that I see myself as an experienced rider. I've ridden in all weathers. Excuse the pun, but I'm no longer a deer in the headlights when it comes to hazard avoidance. But for whatever reason, on this day, this car pulled out on me at a junction. And it was the first and last time I had this experience, because it scared me. But a car pulled out on me in this junction, and I disassociated. Maybe I was just having a bad day that day, but I disassociated, and all of a sudden I was sat behind myself on the bike, and it felt so real. I could feel my own hips through my knees while sat on the back, and I was having this out of body experience, and my mind was blown. My first thought was, am I dead? Is this really happening? And it then dawned on me, no, I can't be dead. I'm still traveling. Now, to try and get a better view of the road, try and assess who was actually in control of this thing, see what was going on, I went to peer around my shoulder. But as I did this, I merged with myself, if that makes sense. And what I had unintentionally done was ground myself. I had brought myself back to the here and now by looking around, by taking in my surroundings, trying to figure out who was actually controlling this machine, why it was still travelling. But this was actually a grounding technique, and I'm sure we will touch on grounding techniques in the future on another video. Comment down below if you do want to hear some more grounding techniques. Now, obviously, everybody's circumstances are different when they're suffering an episode of disassociation, but there's a technique I want to share with you. It may sound a bit odd, but bear with me. It's much like in electronics with the earth wire, where it sends the shock down through the wire and then out dissipates into the ground. And this grounding technique can be much the same. So what I do if I'm struggling, this could be anything: touch, smell, taste. You can have strong mint, but what I do to calm myself is to touch a surface. This could be a bit of Lego in your pocket, this could be a tree next to you, but think about it, concentrate on it. This tree is cold where it's been in the shade. I can feel the moss, I can feel the cold. To connect yourself with the now, it's important to focus on these little details, to stop your mind detaching, to bring you back to, in your body, feeling this thing. And like I said, this could be a taste. You could have a pack of strong mints in your pocket, and if you think you're gonna have a stressful experience, suck on one of them. Remind yourself, keep yourself with the here and now. This mint is hot, this mint tingles my tongue. And the same with smell. Now, Broom, who will be doing some videos on witchcraft later in the series, she made me a little tincture of moonstone oil. It was full of natural smells and such. If I was having a stressful experience at work, or I was about to go into a stressful situation, I would put a bit of this on my wrist, and then again doing the same thing. I could smell the honeysuckle in it, I could smell the rosemary, I could smell the oil, just to reconnect myself with the here and now. This is me here and now sniffing my wrist. This technique has got me through some rough times. I'll hold my hands up to that one. It works. I was very skeptical at first, but it does work. And as I say, over time, practice makes perfect, and you'll find it easier to start identifying what triggers your disassociation, be able to manage it better. So please give it a go, comment down below with your suggestions of what helps you ground yourself, what helps bring you back from a horrible episode. So I do hope that this bite-sized video has given you a better understanding of what disassociation is, and I also hope that it's given someone a technique to add to their arsenal of coping strategies. Now, if you're not struggling yourself, but you know someone who is, don't be afraid to talk about it. Share this video with them. Just let them know that you're there for them. They will appreciate it. So I'm afraid that's all we got time for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, hit the like and subscribe buttons, hit the notification bell to stay up to date with the channel. If you would like to get more involved, message us on Instagram. We've got an Instagram going now. Hurrah, coming into the modern era. And also drop suggestions and comments in the box down below. Say hi. See you later.